Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Azam Khan. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Hong Kong Disneyland records its 8th straight year of losses. An elderly Hong Kong man with a U.S. passport has been jailed for life on the mainland on espionage charges. And voters in Thailand dismissed the military in favor of parties that champion changes. Hong Kong Disneyland has continued to lose money, with COVID blamed for the deficit in the last financial year. But the theme park is confident of a recovery as it prepares to operate all week and launch a new section based on the Frozen movies. Macy Mock reports.
Hong Kong Disneyland remains in the red for the 8th year running, losing $2.1 billion for the year ending last October. But it was 12% less than in the previous year. COVID was blamed as the theme park welcomed visitors for only half the year because of mandatory closure. With social distancing gone, the Magic Kingdom is looking ahead to better days.
And we don't have a crystal ball on where the market is going or how fast it is recovering. But what I can say is right now is that we are better than the market. And the market is recovering, but we need to do better than that. So we are on our way, I think.
Despite COVID, visitor numbers surged 22% from a year earlier to 3.4 million, most of them locals. Revenue jumped 31% to $2.2 billion. The park currently opens for 5 days a week, but is set to extend it to 6 or 7 days by the middle of next month. It's seeking more cast members and plans to recruit 1,000 people. Moriarty says there are no plans to ask shareholders, including the Hong Kong government, for money to support the business. Its expansion includes reopening Hollywood Hotel in July and launching the World of Frozen in November. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
Security Chief Chris Tang has defended the police force after crime jumped by 48% in the first quarter of this year. There were just over 20,000 cases of crime between January and March. Nearly 8,900 of those cases were deception, more than double the amount for the same period last year. Tang insisted the phenomenon is not exclusive to Hong Kong, citing similar trends in Singapore and London. Violent crime went up 22%, and Tang believed it was a unique situation.
For the first 3 months of last year, where the COVID is at the highest, and there's a stringent social distance measures, and there are not many people on the street. So that's the reason why cases like robbery, burglary, and theft cases that normally happen on the street, the number has been significantly reduced in the first 3 months of last year. Discounting the deception cases, the crime situation of the first quarter of this year is more or less the same as what in 2019, i.e. before the COVID situation.
The Consumer Council has urged restaurants to update their QR code systems. This follows complaints from customers who had to pay extra. Macy Mock has the story.
The Consumer Council has received 28 complaints from people whose visits to restaurants ended with a bad taste in their mouths, so to speak. These related to disputes over QR code systems. One complainant ordered food after scanning the QR code, which did not list any service charge. But after the meal, the customer was asked to pay 10% extra. When the Consumer Council intervened, the restaurant said it had just launched its QR code system and the service charge was not displayed by mistake. Another diner was charged $120 more as the price list was not updated on the digital menu. Both complainants received refunds. The consumer watchdog urged restaurants to update their online systems regularly, warning that they might be violating the Trade Descriptions Ordinance if they display incorrect prices.
The deployment of automation to support the restaurant service is a growing trend because of the need for enhancing the efficiency of the restaurants. It is so important for you to specify the charges clearly and itemize them well and accurately for information access, by the consumer. The responsibility should be more precise with the restaurant rather than the consumer, because the consumer rely on the information to make their own judgment and decision to purchase.
The council received 1,160 restaurant-related complaints last year. 30% were about prices, including whether tea and condiments were free. The watchdog advised patrons to check the menu or ask staff. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
A Hong Kong man who holds an American passport has been jailed for life on the mainland on espionage charges. The mysterious case of John Leung only came to light today, 2 years after his arrest in Suzhou. Raymond Young reports.
In an out-of-the-blue announcement, the Intermediate People's Court of Suzhou, west of Shanghai, revealed that a Hong Kong-born U.S. citizen has been convicted of espionage. According to a statement, 78-year-old John Leung has been detained since April 2021. He was found guilty today after a hearing and sentenced to life in prison and fined 500,000 yuan. His Hong Kong identity card, passport, and home return permit numbers were revealed, but no other information was published. It remains unknown what Leung did exactly, which ran afoul of the law, but some of his past work can be traced online. According to a 2004 article of the People's Daily, Leung once worked for the United Nations in New York before becoming a businessman. He set up associations which promoted business and cultural exchanges between China and the United States. Photos circulating online showed Leung mingling with senior officials, including top diplomat Yang Jiechi. Other reports suggested a foundation he led donated to hospitals across China and sponsored cataract surgeries for the impoverished. The U.S. Embassy in Beijing has acknowledged the reports, but did not make additional comments. Raymond Yang, HKIBC.
Overseas, voters in Thailand have soundly rejected the military and flocked to reform-minded parties. The two main progressive parties have begun coalition talks, but it's still unclear who will lead the country. Sachin Katvi reports.
A political earthquake has struck Thailand, according to political analysts. With virtually all votes counted after yesterday's general election, the Move Forward Party, led by Pita Limjaroenrat, has secured 151 seats in the 500-member lower house. Just 10 seats behind is another progressive party, Phua Thai, headed by Paitongtarn Shinawat, daughter of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawat. Incumbent Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and his military-backed United Thai Nation Party won only 36 seats. Pita and Phua Thai are trying to rope in smaller parties in a coalition that will control 309 seats. But it's too early to tell who will lead the country. The next Prime Minister will be decided in July by the lower house and the Senate, whose 250 members were appointed by the military. Pita, however, is looking ahead. One of his main targets is to amend Thailand's controversial but sensitive royal defamation law.
We will use the parliament to make sure that it's a comprehensive discussion with maturity, with transparency, and how we should move forward in terms of the relationship between the monarchy and the mass. The duty of member of parliament is to speak on the behalf of people, is to pass progressive laws, is to make sure that we support the duty of the government.
A record voter turnout at 75% dealt a resounding blow to the military-backed politicians who have ruled Thailand since a coup in 2014. Sachin Katwi, HKIBC.
Turkey's fiercely contested presidential election is likely to go into a second round. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan missed an outright victory by the slimmest of margins. After Turkey's closest election in decades, the final result hangs on a knife edge, With 99% of the votes counted, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan secured 49.49%, a whisker short of the 50% needed for outright victory. His main rival, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, has 44.99%, paving the way for a runoff race between the two on May 28th. The election yesterday came as Turks struggle with rising inflation. They also remembered the more than 50,000 people killed in a devastating earthquake in February. During the 20 years Erdogan has been in power, Turkey walked a fine line between Western Europe and Russia. He's now facing the stiffest challenge to his political career from Kılıçdaroğlu, who has promised to fix Turkey's faltering economy and counter what he called a slide to authoritarianism. Both Erdogan and Kılıçdaroğlu welcomed the prospect of a runoff vote and are confident of victory. The third candidate, Sinan Ogan, who received 5% of the vote, is poised to play kingmaker. Hong Kong shares made a robust start to the week on hopes that Beijing will roll out more measures to stimulate the economy. The Hang Seng Index gained 1.7%, led by tech stocks ahead of earnings reports. Tencent jumped 3.9%. The tech giant is expected to post a sharp rise in quarterly profit on Wednesday. Alibaba, which reports on Thursday, was almost 1% higher. Insurers continued to lure investors, with Ping An jumping 3.9%. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed up 344 points. Top 10 active stocks, Tencent closed up $12.80, Meituan up $4.50. JD.com was down $3.70, ICBC was up 9 cents. Forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro is at 8.52, the Canadian dollar at 5.80. And over in the UK, the London FTSE is currently up 33 points. The fourth cross-border investment link has come online as part of China's move to gradually open up its capital markets. Chief Executive John Lee and Nicholas Aguzin, head of Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing, marked the launch by sounding the gong at Connect Hall in Central. Called Swap Connect, the program allows Hong Kong and overseas investors to access China's financial derivatives market. They can conduct interest rate swaps in which two parties exchange one stream of interest payment for another as hedging. Only northbound trading is allowed in the initial stage, with all transactions settled in yuan and capped at 20 billion yuan per day.
It is the world's first a derivatives mutual market access program allowing offshore investors to directly trade and clear onshore renminbi interest rate swaps in mainland China. And it answers the growing demand from international investors for risk management tools onshore bond market.
On to the weather now. Nice weather tomorrow with sunny periods throughout the day. Temperatures will range between 24 and 28 degrees. Expect some showers around midweek. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Monday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Azam Khan. Good night.